you how I did this hot chocolate inspired nail art, and also I'm gonna be doing marble effects. So I'm gonna teach you step by step so you guys can do this at home. But the first thing that I did is that I put the form, and I'm gonna create this thin layer with crystal clear acrylic because this is gonna serve me as a base to be able to do this marble effect. And I'm gonna be using colors that remind me of hot chocolate, of course. And the first one that I'm gonna use is this darker brown. Then I'm gonna put a little bit of this lighter brown, and then some white and a little bit of sparkles. When I do marble nails, what I like to do is that first I put all of the colors kind of like on top of each other, and then slowly using my brush I start moving them around until it looks the way that I like it. Something that I recommend you is to make sure that the beads that you add are kind of liquid so you can have time to mix them around. And also when you guys are doing this step, make sure that you don't mix it too much, because otherwise what can happen is that all of the colors can end up looking like one, so the marble effect is not gonna look the way it's supposed to. And on this first nail, what I'm going to be doing is that I'm gonna create this ombre design, so that's the reason why I only did the marble on the tip of the nail. And to do this design, what I'm going to do is use this beige acrylic, and I'm gonna be mixing both of the colors together. When you do this type of design, what I recommend you is to use your brush and keep dragging the acrylic downwards until it looks the way that you like it. And to finish this up, I'm gonna keep applying some more beads until the nail is well covered. And since we did a marble design, what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna start encapsulating this nail, especially on the tip. And to do this, I'm gonna be using the same crystal clear acrylic. What you guys have to make sure here is that everything is well covered, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to file this nail. And of course, just like I always do, I'm gonna apply some pressure on the sides because I feel like the nail is gonna look more natural this way. On this second nail, I'm also going to start by creating this thin layer of crystal clear acrylic, but it's going to be a little bit different because here I'm not going to be creating an ombre design. This whole nail is going to be a marble effect. And make sure that the base is pretty long, because in today's video I'm going to be doing very long nails. They're going to be over XL size. And this is how it looks like. Now I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna start applying the colors just the same way that I told you. But the only difference is that since this whole nail is going to be marble, I'm gonna start up near the cuticle, which this part is actually so hard because what you have to make sure here is not to touch the cuticle or the skin, because what that can cause is that it can make your nail start lifting, so it can fall off way sooner than it's supposed to. And I'm gonna apply all of the colors on top of each other, and I'm gonna use my brush to move them around. Also, something that I don't know if you guys have noticed is that I usually add the colors on the left side of the nail, so I can have some room to create this marble effect. I feel like it's much easier to do it this way. Also, I'm going to be adding some more glitter, and the way that I'm doing this is that basically I'm making very small beads, and I'm just going to put it wherever I feel like it's going to look good. Now to finish up, of course, I'm going to start encapsulating this nail, and this is basically the same process that I done on the first one, but the only difference is that I'm also going to start up near the cuticle, and then slowly using my brush I'm gonna start dragging the acrylic until the tip of the nail. Make sure that the entire nail is well covered. And just like I've done earlier, I'm still gonna apply some pressure on the sides. Now moving on to the third nail, here it's going to be a little bit different because I'm not gonna do the base layer. I'm gonna start by applying the lighter brown, and I'm only gonna put it until the middle of the nail. And slowly I'm gonna push the acrylic upwards until it gets near the cuticle. But remember that it's so important not to touch the cuticle or the skin because that can cause lifting. Something different about this design is that I'm gonna try to make this straight line with the acrylic. I know that it's a little bit hard to explain, but I hope that you guys can see it better on the video. Basically, I'm using my brush to make this line, and I really like doing this type of designs. I actually done this on my last tutorial. I think that it looks very unique. And since I want it to look as straight as possible, I'm also going to file it, but this step is extra, so you guys don't have to do this if you don't want to. Now, I'm only gonna be adding these white sparkles that I added earlier, and I'm gonna finish up creating the tip of the nail with it. Now that I have this on, I'm gonna start using the same crystal clear acrylic, and I'm gonna start encapsulating this nail. I'm gonna put most of it on the tip of the nail since that's where I added the sparkles, but I'm also gonna add a little bit on top of the brown acrylic because I want everything to be connected. And I'm also gonna apply some pressure on the sides, and this is how this third nail looks like. Now moving on to the fourth one, I'm gonna start by applying the form, and I'm gonna close it off a lot more than usual, especially on the tip, so it can be easier for me to create this coffin shape. This fourth nail is going to be pretty much like the first one, so I'm gonna start by creating the base layer with the same crystal clear acrylic. And when you guys do this step, make sure that the layer is pretty thin because otherwise the nail can end up being too chunky. And just like I done earlier, I'm gonna start by applying the colors right on top of each other so I can start to move it around. Now I'm gonna start using my brush to mix the colors around, and I recommend you not to mix it too much because otherwise it can end up looking a little bit messy. What I do is that I start mixing it, and once it looks the way that I like it, I stop and I apply the rest of the beads. I'm also going to be adding the beads on the left side of the nail so I can have some room to move it around. And to finish up, I'm also going to be adding some more sparkles. I'm not thinking too much about where I'm adding it, just whatever I think is gonna look good. Now that the marble is done, I'm gonna start creating the ombre design, and I'm gonna be using the same beige acrylic. Basically what I'm going to do here is the same thing. I'm gonna be using my brush, and I'm gonna keep dragging the acrylic downwards until both of the colors mix well. I'm gonna keep adding some more beads until the entire nail is well covered. Now that the ombre design is done, I'm gonna apply the same crystal clear acrylic so I can start encapsulating this last nail. And basically what I'm going to do here is that I'm mostly going to add it on the tip of the nail, but I'm gonna try to connect it with the beige acrylic so this last nail can be as strong as possible. And to finish up, I'm gonna apply some pressure on the sides. And this is how these acrylic nails look like. Like you guys can tell, they don't look perfect, but that's why I always say that filing is one of the most important steps. When I file nails, I like to start by filing the sides, and since these are coffin shape, I'm gonna try to follow the natural shape that it has. This is how the nails look like after filing the sides. Like you guys can tell, they look a lot more defined now. And the last step to do is to file the surface, and I like doing this using my e-file, but if you guys want to, you can use a regular one. here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be filing down these nails until they're pretty thin. And also if there's any bumps left behind, I'm going to make sure to file them. This is how the nails look like after being filed. Now everything is done and we're ready to do the design, which is going to be very simple, basically almost nothing. But before we start, make sure that you clean off the nails, because after filing there's always going to be some dust left behind. And to do the design, I'm going to be using this white gel polish. I'm gonna do it on the third nail, and what I'm going to do is draw this type of drops like if the hot chocolate was melting. What I'm going to do is that first I'm gonna draw the outline of the drops, and like you guys can tell, some of them are smaller, other ones are gonna be bigger, because I feel like this way makes it look a little bit more realistic. But basically first I'm gonna do the outline and then I'm gonna start filling it in. And this is how the design ended up looking. Like you guys can tell, it's very simple. But now what I'm going to do is add the top coat, which is one of my favorite parts of doing encapsulated nails, because like you guys can tell, you can really get to see how both of the colors mix, especially since we did this type of marble design. I think that it ends up looking really pretty. And basically what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to add the top coat on top of all of the nails, and then I'm going to cure it for about 60 seconds. And this is how the final design ended up looking. Honestly, I love the combination between the colors, and I think that the marble ended up looking really good. If you guys like this tutorial, make sure that you subscribe and like this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!